We're in the goat house, basically. It's like a farmhouse kind of on the other side of the mountain. We slept here. A bunch of dudes from yesterday. It's kind of got like a third grade slumber party vibe. God, it's like the whole fucking yard is an alarm clock.
The day after Pijak's birthday, we finally headed up to the mountains to meet the female division we'd be fighting with, or at least hanging out with. The 1-hour car trip across one hill we were promised turned out to be a 9-hour journey that involved numerous hills, numerous stops to get the truck out of the mud.
That's where he just got stuck. Oh.
Possibly took us across the Iranian border at some point, and required a magic Zelda whistle to ford the final river. This is it. We just met the guys who are going to be hanging out with us, and they took our cell phones, so we can't sext while we're here. I kind of expected it to be like kind of buried in the trees and covered with those weird kind of like perforated leaf things they put on helicopters and stuff. And this is pretty out in the open. I guess just incredibly impossible to get to is all. So we took a short hike up the hill to our soldiers' camp and ran another awkward handshake line. Thank you. This particular Pijak division fights for women's rights in and around the Iranian border. Thankfully, after a grueling morning trek, we caught them just as they were sitting down for tea.
Kurdistan hezin leşkeri jine rojhlati Kurdistan embejin jin ten rejim kirin jin ten kuştin ten adam kirin jbu ivan jina wek hezeki çekdariya.
How are women's rights there like better or worse than they are for Kurdish women in like Turkey and Syria and Iraq? Is Iran the worst?
Yani ham nikarim bejin tani Perskirikashin, tani perskiriki İran'da tejyan kirin, Rojhlati Kurdistan'da tejyan kirin. Tersevi ev perskiriki zihniye, tam hamu diroki da tejyan kirin, haya roja iru. Ev çe mafi demokrasi dibe, mafi azadi dibe, mafi vakavi dibe, iyi xandin dibe. Diskatim juda qarşivi haya. Ama çima xabat zidatir li Rojhlati Kurdistan'ı, ev ji persekim huma. جبركو أو سيستمكي إن ديني سيستمكي هن وك رجيمكي قرتي إن أمس سالن بسياك جيان دكن أو هن سالن إن شاخا نافين جيان دكن
فكرك إساك السيستمي إيران دبنا الشريعة دبنا الإسلامية جنان إعدام دكا سنكسار دكا أونا همو الشريعة وإسلامية بخوي بكارتيني نا إسلامية حقيقينينا ده إسلامية حقيقي دا وكوي هيا يكساني هيا ولي أوشتانا نية لإيران دا.
The leader of the division took us on a short tour of the camp, where the women were all boning up on their apoism after lunch. If you took away the sniper rifle, this would basically look like college kids out on a nice day doing their PSI reading. We were still a little unsure if this was really business as usual, or if we were being given the old dog and pony show. The division had a pretty permanent-looking bunker dug into one of the hills, filled with sleeping bags and posters of Pijak martyrs they were keen on showing us. Again, a little suspicious on the whole, is this all just set up for us from? Does everybody have their portrait taken when they join? Finally, study time ended, and the division reassembled to run some drills and show us what makes them the most fearsome female warriors in the Middle East. probably a closer resemblance to like a girls' summer camp than what I would associate with usual military drilling. Yeah, Kalashnikovs were a little different, but that could be replaced by archery.
Okay.
I don't know if I hit the rock or not. Like, I feel like, given all the positive reinforcement with everybody else, though, it's kind of more about, you know, putting in an effort. Just basic army stuff, you know, just having lunch on the grass and then line dancing. It's interesting, I don't know. Every time you think about like women soldiers, I think of like, you know, Lieutenant Vasquez and Aliens, like girls butching themselves up to meet the boys and stuff. Kind of refreshing to see female soldiers who on their own just like hold on to a modest amount of femininity. Shortly after the circle dance, somebody radioed our division leader that they'd compromised their unit's security by firing their guns. And so our time with the ladies of PJAC came to an end, with us completely baffled how these very nice, but not exactly professional, female fighters could ever hold their own against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. That is, without a lot of outside help. But as confusing as it was to watch a supposed crack squad of PJAC guerrillas giggle and clap their way through basic calisthenics and introductory riflery, it actually sums up the whole Kurdish situation pretty nicely. There's sort of two competing narratives with the Kurds in Iraq. In one, they're the classic scrappy underdogs who, by dint of their skill and sheer commitment to their cause, beat the greatest army in their region and establish a beachhead for their future nation. In the other, they're the persecuted minority who appeals to the West to save them from genocide, and are now forever grateful for America's intervention on their behalf. The thing is, they're sort of both true, and the Kurds are more than happy to use whichever one suits their needs at any given time, and whichever one suits the needs of their allies, whoever those happen to be on that particular day. It's basically the old schoolyard technique of pitting the bigger kids against each other. I tell them like, hey, Craig just beat me up, and he says you're too much of a pussy to do anything about it. But the Kurds have raised it to the level of national political philosophy, which is honestly a pretty great approach if you're a homeless ethnic group sandwiched between Iran, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Just provided the older kids never catch on.
خوش بو آگیر گش بو آلاق دادایی